Today on Hampton Roads Business Weekly, it's all about taking risks.
From a soccer mom who opened a cookie business inside her garage,
to a young man who had to choose between finding a place to live or starting his own business. Hampton Roads Business Weekly starts right now.
Hello, I'm Zach Miller.
And I'm Cheryl Tan. This is Hampton Roads Business Weekly, a weekly look at the businesses and entrepreneurs making an impact right here in Hampton Roads.
We want to hear from you, so if you have questions or comments right now during the show, tweet us at HRBizWeekly. Okay, let's talk about taking risk. I spoke with Jo Bouchard, an organizational consultant and Regent University alum, on the importance of taking risk, both in business and in your personal life, and how it can actually help company morale. Take a look. One of the biggest things in starting a business, growing a business, or figuring out what the next steps are to fix a business is taking those risks. How can someone manage the risk of business and in life?
I think just like with running or any other sort of thing where there's competition and stuff involved, we are afraid of the unknown. We're afraid of running further than we've ever run before.
Sure.
Or
you know I love to run.
do you really?
No, I hate it.
Oh, well, I didn't always love to run, but I developed a love for running because when I tried to do it and I stopped hating it and I got into kind of the groove of it, I realized that I could do more than I thought I could if I just pushed myself a little bit further. But in business, one of the things that, it's another one of those old school things that everybody has always believed, not just in business but in life. People say if you work hard, then you'll be successful, and if you're successful, then you'll be happy.
Right.
But the problem with that is every time that you're successful and you hit a benchmark here, the benchmark moves forward. And then you have
New set of unknowns.
which means that happiness is deferred. And so happiness becomes more and more elusive the more successful people are. That's why we have Olympians that go home and contemplate suicide. There's no further for them to stretch. Alexander, after he conquered the world, lay down and cried because there was no further for him to go. And so something about that is askew. Many researchers in positive psychology are now saying that it's actually on the reverse. Sean Acor at Harvard said that if we can cultivate and capture happiness, then we will be thinking about risk, we will be thinking about things, failure, and all these other things in a different mindset, which will set us up to be able to fail so that we can discover new things and think outside of the box. And then regardless of whether or not we currently are successful by the standards, we can still be happy.
So instead of gamifying the success,
Right.
try and gamify the happiness.
Gamify
The
in
mind.
here, yeah, and win there. And one of the ways that you can do that, I mean, it's easy to say, okay, go,
Yeah.
happy mind. But the significance of play, I think it's so underestimated. A lot of times people think that if they're playing, then they can't be working. But actually, statistically, people that cultivate an atmosphere of structured play or room for play, and sometimes it means play that is directly related to what they do, and sometimes
So play
it's
like
not.
playing kickball? Or what do you mean by play in that kind of sense?
Sometimes it can be, actually. But I'll give you an example. There was a study that was done that took highly skilled engineers and had them working on a job that required a high level of output. They took another group of equally skilled engineers and they gave them the same output expectations, but they said instead of just doing it, for them to pretend like they were 7-year-olds that were pretending to do it. Guess who had the higher outputs?
The 7-year-old.
The 7-year-olds who were pretending to do it. They still had the skills.
Sure.
Whenever I am in a situation and it's out of my element and I'm in doubt, what I tell myself is, I'm 7 years old and I'm pretending to do this. And it takes that risk away. And there was actually a study that was done with rats that they had some of them that were allowed to play and some of them had to develop without ever being allowed to play. And they took a collar that had been saturated in cat smell, and they put it in the where the rats were. All of the rats scattered and hid, but the rats that had never been allowed to play died in hiding. Whereas the rats that had been allowed to play eventually were willing to take the risk and become curious to see if it was safe.
Wow.
So you can still be functional without learning how to play, but your survival skill will override your willingness to take risks.
So make life more fun and get rid of some of the seriousness.
Make room for play.
Make room for play. Great.
Imagine going from being homeless to owning your own successful business. It's an amazing story, and it's next on Hampton Roads Business Weekly. But first, a new segment called Zack's Hacks.
Have you ever tried getting someone's attention via email, but it's just not working? Well, try this week's Zack Hack. All you have to do is take the subject line of an email and use it as you would a text message. As you can see, when people are looking mobily, they typically are receiving the subject line as something that is enticing someone to open that email. And so if you use it as a text message, you're more likely to get that person to respond the way that you want, whether to open the email, to maybe schedule a meeting with you, or maybe pay the bill that they need you to pay. And so this week's Zack Hack is very simple. Use your email as a text message, the subject line as a text message. For more information, head on over to startwithhatch.com. We'll be right back.
We continue our focus on taking risks. Imagine having to choose between a common everyday necessity, having a home, or following your dream. That's the choice Deshaun Wright, owner of Body by D, faced when he started his entrepreneurial journey. He took the risk and followed his dream, even though it meant giving up his home. Deshaun Wright, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here.
You are the owner of Body by D Incorporated, and you have two gyms, one in York County and one in Gloucester. Your story is incredible, and I know it has not been easy. At one point, you were telling me that you and your entire family were homeless.
Yes.
And it was part of your journey toward being an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
So how did that happen, and how did you get out of it?
Well, how did it happen? Actually, how Body by D got started. I was actually working there. It was a place called, it was another business at the time. So I was working there, but then that business closed down. So the landlord came to me and was like, hey, Deshaun, would you like to have this part to be the gym? Because I was the manager of the gym. And then, so she saw what I was doing, and I was like, yeah. So took a run with it. That's what I always wanted. And it actually was a goal of mine, was to own a gym before I turned 30. Like, I had it written down on it was on my refrigerator. My friends and family could tell you that. And then it happened. So then, because I couldn't afford the gym and where I was living at, I had to make a decision. Do I want my dream or do I want comfort? I went after my dream. So another case, I saw Jamie Foxx, Tyler Perry, other people that I studied that were homeless, and their pursuits of their greatness. So I was like, you gotta make that sacrifice. So I decided to take that route. My kids and I, we used to sit up in the gym, looking at SpongeBob and other different kind of cartoons. It wasn't ideal, but it wasn't as bad either though, because the family in which you make it. So it was definitely worth it.
So you went from that situation where you were the owner, and then you eventually found a place to live, and then you expanded to another location. I know there have been challenges too on your way to growth. Can you talk about some of those challenges and what you did to get on the other side of them?
Well, the first couple of challenges, was just starting off from 0 to 100. It's like, okay, now you got the gym. A lot of people, when they messed up, they realize you always wanted a goal. That's not the hard part, getting your goal. The hard part once you get it, because you never thought past getting the goal. You understand what I'm saying? All the thing you thought about the whole time was acquiring the goal. Now when you get it, that's why I was like freaking out. I was like, man, it's here. Now I got to rethink, refocus. What do I do now? So that's what made a lot of mistakes, because I was relearning what I needed to do. And I didn't go to school for business, so I had to learn business. I had to study business. I got some good business mentors who helped me too. But I actually had to study courses to learn about business, numbers, and how they affect you, how they work. Then also too, some of the challenges that we had was we lost some good people that we had, as far as like, staff, finding a good staff. Went back and forth with staff members. In the process too, that York County, when I started York County, a lot of people were like, you're not gonna make it. They point blank told me, like, are you serious? You're a young African-American male in York County. It's not gonna work. They're not gonna accept you. Your training style is not gonna work. How are you gonna compete with the bigger gyms? blah, 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 blah. So these were the challenges ahead. First thing I said, I don't want to compete with the bigger gyms. I want to be us, who we are, find our niche. So people always want to compete with other people instead of being the best at what you do. I want to be the best at what I do. I'm not trying to be the best at what the other person does. I want to be the best at what I do. So we found a niche. That's one thing that kept us successful. Another thing too, I didn't let those naysayers tell me, like, hey, confine me to who I was. Because how you define yourself is how you confine yourself, you know? So I wasn't gonna let them tell me because I'm a young African-American male, I'm not gonna make it in York County, Virginia.
You've gotten some pretty impressive awards recently from the city, from the county.
Thank you. Well, recently First Body by D Gym's been best gym 2 years in a row, so I'm very, very proud of. Because for the people said we couldn't compete against the bigger box gyms, then we got those awards, so I'm very proud of those. Also, being that young African-American male in York County, I was just voted 2015 York County Citizen Hero of the Year Award. It's a huge honor, and I was honored to have that. While I was giving the speech, I kept saying, I'm gonna cry, I'm not gonna cry, I'm not gonna cry. But then they started crying. Just a little bit, just a little bit. Like Michael Jordan crying, just a little bit. But it went really, really good though. So it's a true honor that I'm definitely proud of. It's not just me, it's the people around me who allow me to be me.
Any words of advice for someone who looks at you and they say, well, I want to be an entrepreneur, I didn't go to school for that, I've got some challenging situations. What would you say to them, just given what your story is?
Well, I would tell them, first of all, you have the entrepreneur is the ultimate equalizer. I mean, it's the ultimate equalizer. No matter how you look, where you're from, how educated you are, that doesn't matter when it comes to entrepreneurship. Because all it is your work versus somebody else's work. That's what entrepreneurship is. So there you go, you got a common ground. So if you want something, it's out there for you to go get it. And just remember, the American dream is not dead. Don't let nobody tell you what you can do. And you got to believe in yourself. That's the way to get success.
Deshaun Wright, congratulations on your success.
Thank you so much, Mel.
Thanks.
Appreciate this. Thank you.
Welcome back to Hampton Roads Business Weekly. We are here with Jeannie Fioca of Cookie Text, a Yorktown-based bakery.
Yes.
Would you call yourself a bakery?
Absolutely.
All right, so you came up with an idea to basically put messages on cookie cakes. Where's the genesis of this?
It's a lot easier to make a cookie cake than an actual cake. And I was trying to think of some clever, neat way. I'm kind of a giver by nature, for somebody to give a little extra punch in telling somebody they care. So I thought about a message on a cookie cake, a cookiegram, hence a cookie text.
There you go. So the text is the text in the name is the text that's on the cake.
Yes.
On the cookie text. So you've done something that most people would never do. Your business is in your garage.
Yes.
So a lot of businesses are started at a garage, right?
Yeah.
And so you're another garage-based business, but you've converted your garage into a 100% space that is legal as a business. What made you decide to do that instead of going and getting into kind of a kitchen space in a commercial place?
Oh, it was really born out of necessity. Originally, I had rented some space in the back of a business. They had, unused kitchen space, and that business closed. And so we quickly shuffled into the garage and slowly converted it as time went on. And as we were back into I keep saying we because my husband helped me move everything out of that kitchen. As time went on, it seemed like such a better fit for the kids and for me trying to juggle several roles, because not only are you a business owner as a woman, oftentimes you're a mother, and I'm still involved in community things.
And so you wanted to be closer to your kids, and what better place to be than your kitchen garage, that if you needed to go away, it's not leaving for an hour or so and then not being able to be right there. It was, you're 30 seconds away.
Exactly. This morning I baked cookies while I made the kids' lunches.
So recently you received a bad review, and you handled it how?
It had been with somebody that I had dealt with on the phone, that it had gotten to the point where I realized nothing I was going to do was going to make them happy, but we still fulfilled our end of the bargain. That person left a bad review. It was our only 1-star review that we had ever. And
was it a star plus actual comments?
Yes.
Too, or just, okay.
Yes. And so I responded very professionally and left it alone. But my friends from Facebook and from my personal life that I had shared on my personal Facebook page that I had an issue, went and just all gave me multiple more five-star reviews, and they rebutted all of her comments and basically said, you know, there's 68 5-star reviews, 1 4-star review, and 1 random 1-star. Well, who do we think the problem is?
Right.
So
your community backed you up because of the years that you've given to them. They said, all right, we need to go in and make sure to support Cookie Techs where someone else is saying something bad, where they were the outlier in this situation. Your community kind of self-policed them out of the situation.
Yeah, it was kind of overwhelming how quickly people came to bat for Cookie Techs and for me. It was a little bit like, oh wow. But I think if you offer consistently good service and a superior product, that's how people feel so committed and involved in the brand.
So I often talk about how a lot of people have great things, but your product can't suck if you want to get it out there, yeah. Right? And so I think you have a great product, but how do you get your product in other people's hands? What have you done to make sure that people know that you're open for business?
I give a lot of cookies away. A lot of cookies away. Vendor fairs are great events for me where people can see the cookie, taste the cookie. We always bring samples. We gift them at the kids' schools.
How do you test those things? So how do you know that that is the thing that works?
A lot of times it's a coupon code that's associated with the event, or an onslaught of people that their name was gathered at that event and they're in the emailing list, and then I can see their name come back through the system.
Great. Awesome job.
Thanks.
Thank you for the Cookie Techs.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Welcome back to Hampton Roads Business Weekly and the one thing entrepreneurs do that lead to their success. We're happy to talk today with Maya Holohan, who is the owner of 6 Bridal Shops in Hampton Roads. She's a wedding magazine editor as well as a gown designer. Yes. Maya, thanks so much, and thanks for showing us the inside of this lovely store.
Thank you for coming.
You have been busy over the last couple of years getting a ton of entrepreneurial excellence awards. And it seems like you've been shopping quite a bit. So talk about the quick growth of the Maya brand over the last couple of years.
I think it's creating opportunity and then opportunity knocking. My first expansion was in Suffolk, and that was something that we created for ourselves. And then in early 2015, I had a bridal salon owner come to me and ask about purchasing her 2 stores. So that happened at the early part of 2015, and then this store happened toward the end of 2015.
And this is in Ghent. It's really a lovely location. So talk about your business model. Clearly you sell bridal gowns and mother of the bride gowns, bridesmaids gowns, and also you work with prom dresses and students. So your background is in design. How did you become a business owner?
So I ran somebody else's business for 5 years when I was living in Boston, and knew that I wanted to own my own business one day. I've always been very entrepreneurial anyway, sort of seeking new things for myself. So that was just in me, really. And when I moved here in 2003, I took a job with a bridal salon owner, and it was just timing. It was luck and timing. I came on, they were looking to retire. We had a fantastic relationship, and they offered to sell me their business, which was my Maya Couture store on Military Highway, and that's really how it started for me.
As far as growth, though, explosive growth, relationships and opportunities, and just the willingness to say yes, it sounds like, helped with this growth. How do you manage all of these stores and time and handling all the pieces that need to come into place?
It's a great team. Part of the reason why I could say yes to so many opportunities is because I have a great staff. I have a fantastic management team, and my employees work diligently and so hard every single day of the week. And I think a lot of that comes from, I'm very involved with my companies. You know, my philosophy is I would never ask my staff to do anything I wouldn't do myself. So for the first 9 years, I was really in the trenches with my team. And last year and this coming year will be the first time where I'm sort of out of it a little bit. So that's a balancing act that is new for me, because I like to be in sort of the meat of everything, and now I'm sort of taking more of a bird's eye view.
We've talked with a lot of entrepreneurs who've said that. We talked with Angela Reddix, who's the owner of Artix, that the first 7 or 8 years are tough. And then you realize some things by year 9 or 10.
That's right.
Where things, your systems maybe are in place and you can handle things a little bit better. We've also talked about some challenges that you have in the bridal industry. What are some of those things that people may not realize are challenges within what it is you have?
So, we're a unique industry. I think we definitely have the same challenges as any small business owner, but our business is emotionally driven. It's also reputation driven. So we have the added stress of being perfect, of connecting every single day with our clients. It's a relationship, so we're sort of non-traditional in that respect, where our relationships with our clients can be up to 2 years, sometimes longer. So we really have to, nurture them from beginning to end.
We call the segment The One Thing. So what is the one thing that you would say has led to your success?
My upbringing is why I'm successful. My parents set a great example for me and my brothers and sisters, and they always taught us to persevere, to be proud of what we do, to be passionate, and be resilient. And that has stayed with me since the very beginning and has gotten me through many business challenges, and that's why I think I'm sitting here today talking to you.
Maya Holohan, thanks so very much and congratulations.
Thank you so much.
That wraps up another edition of Hampton Roads Business Weekly. Like us on Facebook and Instagram at HR Business Weekly.
There you will find segments from previous shows, plus some great behind-the-scenes pictures and videos. For Hampton Roads Business Weekly, I'm Zach Miller.
And I'm Cheryl Tan. We'll see you next week.
Hampton Roads Business Weekly, sponsored by Regent University and produced by ABC 13.